And we welcome you to Wisconsin.Golf. Our Wisconsin.Golf Conversation is with Lee Reinke, the head men's and women's golf coach at the University of Wisconsin Green Bay. And we're talking to him right now. First of all, big week for the Phoenix. George Kanizer playing in a Korn Ferry Tour event and currently, as we speak, straddling the cut line. So both Lee and I have our live scoring up on PGAtour.com. So if we start yelling and screaming, it means George would have birdied 9, or at least par 9, because he's right on that line. But Lee, what I wanted to talk to you about was the big news this week. The Women's Golf Coaches Association of America came out with their Division 1, 2, and 3 rankings for the academic overall team GPA. And we knew you were going to be up there. And you come in at number 2, the Phoenix does, at 3.958. First of all, when you got that news, tell me, how proud were you of the girls that they came in number 2 in the entire nation, Division 1 women's golf, for what they're doing in the classroom?
Extremely proud. Last year we were 13th, and that was quite an accomplishment. But they wanted more, so they really tackled the classroom as they always do, with some fierceness this year, and came out with a 3.958. I was surprised that we got beat. I mean, that's quite a feat by Mexico. Holy cats.
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. And there's 4 schools with above a 3.9. And again, to people on the outside looking in, I mean, they're college kids. If they're smart, they're going to get a good GPA. But I mean, in golf, college golf, there's a lot of things working against that, aren't there?
Yes, and we have I have a small roster. We have a small roster. There's only 8 ladies on the roster, and so a lot of them are traveling every week, and it's a Saturday travel, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday at the tournament, and then we get back late Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning, sometimes at midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning. So, and then it's a quick 3-day turnaround where they have to do laundry, study, do homework, qualify, practice, have some social time. So all those factors added in, a 3.958 is just phenomenal. In addition to that, they don't take how to cut lawn in a straight line classes. They have 4 human bio majors, 3 business majors, and then not to be outdone, a mechanical engineering major and a math major, double major for Ashley. So it's quite a feat with those majors as well.
Yeah, we're not going to dummy down this interview, Lee, by comparing what you took in college and what I took in college to kind of boost.
Right. Thank you for that.
Because there's a lot of shortcuts that these young ladies are not taking. So in creating that environment, how much of that is kind of the girls doing what they do? And is there anything special about maybe their approach to the academic side of being a student athlete that has really impressed you?
Yeah, you know what? Some of my friends gave me grief, like, boy, you're not going to the class, thank goodness. And I said, no, but at the same time, I take a lot of pride in in the caliber of player I recruit.
Right.
I always look for a high character, high integrity individual, both men and women, as well as, from a good family, good student who can play golf. I always have the golf at the end, because I look at it, and actually with the COVID going on too, if we know we're not going to be playing in September at all. So every coach should have their job, part of their job is to make the college experience for their student athletes the best experience that they can possibly have. So, even now I'm thinking in the fall here, what can we do? So I always like to look for those good students, good character, and they know how to study. They coming out of high school as good students, so they know how to study. They can obviously time manage because they've played sports in high school and they had good grades. And, when we're on the road, it's remarkable. I told my wife, I learned more in the last 6 years than I may have in college, just because, even on the guys' side, you got Ben Gillis, Brady Suro. I mean, the guys were a 3.66 for the year, which is phenomenal. But these guys that are studying dentistry and Sakula and law, I mean, at business, it's just phenomenal. And they're always studying in the van. They ask are the lights going to bother you? And even if they did, I wouldn't tell them they did because I want them to study.
Right.
And, on the ladies, they're constantly studying on the way home, quizzing each other, because a lot of them with 4 human bios, they're always talking those tests coming up. And I'll take an active 2-3 hour driving. I'm learning stuff too as we go.
Sure.
I get home and I think I think I could take that test. So they really study all the time with each other. Even have a couple of them that have they're not required to go to study table because of their GPA, but some of them still do, which is phenomenal. A credit to them. It's what they're going to do after. Now we got George still hasn't posted on 9, but it's pretty exciting. We finally got a guy from the Phoenix country that is playing on a pretty major tour. I mean, the Korn Ferry is pretty darn major. That's right. It's awful exciting to see that. But otherwise, a lot of these are not going to be on the Korn Ferry or the PGA or the LPGA or the Symetra, and they know that, and they take great pride in their classroom.
Now, is there any one, especially on the women's team here with this 3.958 GPA, that as a team that sometimes you have to coach to, not worry so much about academics and, in terms of, don't worry about this test, don't worry about that. Is there, any one or two gals in particular that, might really, kind of take that academic side to a point where, sometimes it might get in the way of their golf game, or vice versa? Does their golf game get in the way of the academics? How do you as a coach try to help them balance?
They do a great job of balancing it. What I'll get, especially in the fall and the spring when they're going through the next semesters registering for classes, they'll say, hey, I got this class in the afternoon. I say, hey, don't worry about the golf part. I'll make it work around you. I will always adjust around your schedule. If it means I got to stay in town till 8 at night, then that's what it means. It's no big deal. And the other thing too that makes it difficult here is our enrollment. We don't have, we could go to Madison or, Marquette or other bigger schools where that lab could be offered 7-8 times during the week.
Oh, sure.
Here it might only be offered 1 time. So you have to take it then. So I never worry about that. And they've all come to know, they all know that I will work around their schedule. And they know how to balance it very, very well.
You mentioned a study table. What kind of resources are available in the Phoenix program that, in your opinion, help the student athletes under your watch to succeed academically?
Well, they all have access to tutors, and even the ones that are getting 4.0s, they are not proud. They will get a tutor. That's how much that's how much it means to them, which is very, very cool. I mean, a lot of pride in that. In addition to that, we also obviously had the top GPA of all sports in the Horizon League. That was just named this week too.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool. It's just a joy to be around, because even when we go to the course and we're talking course management or whatever aspect of the game we're talking about, they're so smart. They pick up on things so quickly. It's a lot of fun because, you can say something once or twice and they've got it. It's pretty nice.
Remarkable group. Again, UWG Green Bay, number 2 in the nation in the Women's Golf Coaches Association Division I team GPA rankings with a 3.958. As Lee mentioned earlier, New Mexico inches ahead at 3.965, and GB just ahead of Cal Baptist and Quinnipiac out in the East Coast, and all with above 3.9s. It's just great. And we also, you might have seen Lee take a peek here. We're looking at George Kanizer here on the Korn Ferry Tour down at the Price Cutter in Missouri. He pars number 9 to shoot 69. So 73, 69. Lee, you said he had 7 birdies today. Is that right?
7 birdies today. A little trouble on the front. He had a double and a double bogey and a bogey back to back. I know a penalty shows on the screen. So driver must have just got away from him a little bit. But I tell you what, 7 birdies. 9 under in the qualifier, takes first in there. comes out yesterday. Surely didn't embarrass himself with a 73. First competitive round on the Corn Ferry, and then today 7 birdies, shoots 3 under 69. He sits at 2. Help me, Rob. 2 under total, right?
2 under total. Yep. So
2 under total, which puts him at T69 currently.
Right. And we thought that it was a T7 or top 70 in ties go on, but it might be top 60 in ties. So that's where they've kind of placed the cut line. Projected cuts 3 under. So we'll see how the afternoon wave handles. Most of them just getting their round going, but we'll have the results on Wisconsin.Golf.
And let's hope the wind picks up, Rob.
Well, the wind picks up. I mean, back in the day, if the spike marks would have been like, mountaintops and those kind of things. But it is great. I mean, after day one, he was tops. There were 5 guys with Wisconsin ties in the field, as you probably saw, Lee. And he beat up Dan Woltman, who had a 74. Jordan Eberge had some struggles on 17 and 18. Yeah, and shot 75. And then Zach Burry out of Appleton. His dad's the GM, director of golf at Winnegamie. And he shot 76, not too shabby. And then, of course, Tony Romo got a sponsor's exemption, and then his wrist, which kept him out of that celebrity deal when he was in the hunt a couple weeks ago, flared up again, and so he had to pull out. So it is really neat to see. And now I know George is in the State Open next month, and that's shaping up to be a dynamite field down there at Blue Mountain for the 100th State Open. And we're in the process of previewing the State Amateur, and I know that you mentioned Brady Sarauer, who a recent grad, now going on to dental school at Marquette. He's going to tee it up next week at Milwaukee Country Club. People forget he's a former WSGA junior champ. And I wouldn't count out Brady. He's got some game too.
Yes, he does. And Max Pasture qualified as well. He won in a playoff at Brown Deer, so he's in the field as well.
Nice. So a lot to look forward to there. I guess as we kind of look ahead to the 2020-2021 season, we're probably like the high schools determined yesterday, sort of in delay mode. What can you tell me about how things look for your men's and women's team in terms of just the concept of competing again anytime soon?
So as you know, the Horizon League has canceled all sporting events through the month of September. Okay. So they're going to reevaluate the beginning of September to see what happens in October. I'll keep the faith and keep my fingers crossed, but we all know what's going on. I'm not holding my breath by any means. That said, as of right now, we'll still be able to practice. So I'm already thinking of some creative ways we can practice, some implementing the men and the women, sure. Maybe the ladies caddy for the guys in the morning for 9 holes, and then they caddy nice. For them. A little combined stuff. We'll still try to qualify in the month of September to see, just in case we play in October, and still qualify in case we play in the spring. But that's kind of where it stands. And the NCAA recruiting dead period is in effect until the end of August, as you know. I'm selfishly hoping that it ends the end of August so I can watch some ladies golf, high school golf, because I've never been able to do that in September and October. So that would be really nice if I could do that, because it's been a very frustrating spring. Everybody's in the same boat where we can't see anybody play, which is very difficult. I like, even if I don't see them play, that in-person communication is very valuable to me. You learn a lot about their character.
You sure do. Is there any indication whether the Horizon League, in conjunction with the NCAA, will provide relief in terms of how late you can go in the year to try to play before the end of first semester, or how early you can go starting second semester?
No indication on that yet, other than when tournaments typically are held. Sure. But no indication on that yet.
Okay, we'll continue to monitor that. Otherwise, I mean, you've just been, well, it looks like you've been pulling your hair out. No pun intended.
Yeah, there you go. I'm okay with that.
In terms of just trying to, I mean, it's hard to recruit virtually, isn't it? I mean, you can look at scores all you want. You can refresh live scoring of this tournament, that tournament. You can send emails and text messages, but nothing beats, especially with you, as we were finding out here, a good in-person conversation, or at least on Zoom.
Absolutely. I thoroughly enjoy that. And I miss that. I miss being there.
And it's a good crew. I know you're limited by NCAA rules as to what you can say, coming up. I mean, the game of golf in Wisconsin's in good hands. I think again, you look at what George has done this week down in Missouri, and he's a kid from Oconomowoc that was probably, if we can use a recruiting term, lightly recruited. And you gave him the chance. When I talked to him on Monday, and I asked him about, last time you and I talked about George before this week was, you were going to try to recruit him again to see if he wanted to use extra eligibility. Same with all the guys and gals that were, in position to graduate. And, he said that you guys had a great conversation, but at the end of the day, he's looking at the prospect of coming back and taking, 12 bogus credits of nothing that would ever interest them as being a no-win situation for George Kanizer. He made the right move, and he's proven it this week, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And he was exactly right. We've always spoken very honestly to each other. Matter of fact, we once in a while, we talk about the first time we met, and it was I walked up behind him on the 15th tee at the state tournament at University Ridge. And obviously Bruce was his high school coach, Bruce Henning.
Yep.
And walked up behind him and watched him play. And then after the competition, we spoke a little bit, and one thing led to another, and it worked out quite well. That's for sure. Yeah.
It sure did. It sure did. And again, George Kanizer, T69 down at the Corn Ferry event, hoping to sneak in ahead of the cut line if we can get a few guys to fall down to 2 under. We'll see where that ends up. Lee, it's been a pleasure. I don't know what your women's team does for an encore here. What I guess to close this up, 3.958. Can they get to 4.0? That would be almost impossible in today's world, in today's college environment. I mean, somewhere there's got to be one professor that either has it out for a sport, or there's a class that just has a little bit of a kind of a tweak on a kid that, I can't quite figure out that last little piece of the puzzle to get that, turn that A- into an A. I mean, but with this group, I wouldn't put it past them.
I tell you what, I would not put it past them at all, because yes, 2 is awesome. I mean, number 2 is phenomenal, but they really want to be number 1. And I would not put them past them to come back with a 4.0.
Well, that's outstanding. Yeah. Lee Reinke,
and Rob, not only that, I just got to say one more thing.
Sure.
Also in the last 12 months, 4 top 5 finishes as a team and 2 wins.
Unreal. And I haven't looked lately to see where the golf stat ranking is taking you, but I mean, that's got to be climbing just, at a pretty good clip, I would hope.
It's been very satisfying. Yes.
That's outstanding. Yeah. Outstanding.
Thanks
Lee
Reinke,
Rob. Thank you. The head women's and men's golf coach at UW Green Bay, our guest this week on the Wisconsin.Golf Conversation.